I took them all to my heart. Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine.
Hello, welcome to this week's Battle of the Ports and a game that started life on the Nintendo 64 in the UK. This is Shadow Man from Acclaim Studios' Teenside. The game starts in 1888 as Jack the Ripper laments the fact that his murders have not unlocked the mystical power that he believes to exist upon murdering someone. So he prepares to perform the ritual upon himself at the expense of his own life. A man named Legion appears and tells Jack that the power he seeks does exist and offers to share this power with him if Jack constructs an insane asylum for like-minded killers in Deadside, the land of the dead. Proclaiming, "For we are many," Jack commits suicide. In the present day, Michael Leroy becomes the current Shadow Man, a lineage of voodoo warriors who protect the world of the living from the threats crossing over from Deadside. This is who you play as. Shadow Man is one of the N64 games that plays in high resolution mode, which is the mode I'm playing in right now on original N64 hardware via RGB video. Man, this game is dark on its default settings. I think I'll brighten it up in the options. Unlike many N64 games that run in high resolution mode, Shadow Man manages to keep a fairly respectable frame rate, but even in the high res mode, things are still rather messy looking, resulting in difficulty picking out detail at times. Thankfully the game plays well and offers a solid 3D platforming experience, although it will take a little time getting used to the somewhat loose controls.
Dark souls, I embrace it.
Listen to what I have to say.
How did you find this place? Who are you?
My name is Legion, for we are many. The immortal power that you seek does exist. It does indeed lie within the soul.
Next up is the PlayStation release. As to be expected, this doesn't look anywhere near as stable as the N64 version. It's time to take a trip down to Shaky World. However, saying that, while things are wobbling all over the place and wall textures bending like crazy, the actual in-game graphics are much easier to make out than those found on the N64. They actually look more cleaner than the N64 high resolution mode, plus it isn't anywhere near as dark. Sadly, the same can't be said about the frame rate. Compared to the N64 original, the frame rate really does suffer on the PlayStation. It's still playable, but at times the game can feel quite heavy. Being a CD game, you'd expect the PlayStation version to have more speech, but that's not the case. Due to the limited RAM available, a lot of Shadow Man's in-game dialogue is missing. All the cutscene dialogue is there, mind you, and at a much higher quality than the N64 version. Some stages have been simplified, probably to help with the frame rate. Overall, the PlayStation version isn't terrible, and in some ways is better than the N64 original, but if I had to play either this or the N64 version, I'd go with the N64. Truth is though, I'd play neither and go for the port coming up next.
Place where you and I and others like us may join together. A place of asylum for all of the unique and misunderstood individuals that will follow you as the time of Armageddon approaches. And at the heart of asylum, we shall construct...
Following on from the PlayStation, we have the Dreamcast release and a version that I actually played back in the day. Just like the N64 original, this can look quite dark in places, but there's no option to change the brightness, so you're kinda stuck with it. However, the lighting overall is the best so far when it's not too dark. This Dreamcast version has all the speech that was missing from the PlayStation version, plus some extra stuff that I don't think was in the N64 version. The stages have somewhat been arranged, and there's now way more enemies dotted around the stages. Frame rate is good, but it does suffer from stuttering, just like the PlayStation version. I guess Acclaim Teenside weren't very good at streaming data from optical discs. I do prefer this over the PlayStation and N64, but is the Dreamcast version the best out there?
Seelen gleicher Art. Mit ihrer Macht errichten wir eine unsterbliche Armee zur Strafe und zur Säuberung dieser jämmerlichen kleinen Welt.
Und wo soll ich diese Kathedrale errichten?
Finally, we have the Windows version, which is exactly like the Dreamcast, but rather than being limited to 480p, this can go all the way up to 1080p. However, let's be honest, how many people would have been playing this at 1080p back in 1999? Control-wise, it is identical to the Dreamcast version. In fact, the default button layout is even the same as the Dreamcast game when using an Xbox 360, Series X or 8-bit Ultimate controller. So what we have here is the best looking due to the high resolution and joint best controlling version of Shadow Man out there. Well, unless you want to start including the remastered version.
Jetzt wird's aber Zeit, dass ich an die Luft komme. Gleich platzen mir die Lungen.
got all those versions of Shadow Man running side by side.
In the place known as Deadside.
Then, if I am to join you, I must die.
It is prophecy. We cannot fail, for we are many.
For we are many.
Amen to that.
Huh?
Stop with the dilly. Hello there, Michael. How's that treating you?
Jaunty, kindly refer to me as Shadow Man. Michael Law has no place here in Deadside.
Whatever, Mick. It's good to see you again. Seems like simply ages since I last set me eyes on your happy, smiling mug.
The feeling's mutual.
I suppose you've been away dallying with the old battle axe, giving her one with some of that righteous...